I'm about as real as they come.
All my beats tailored by Joe. House Digital.
Maserati Rick in Detroit, convertible bird in Miami. Graduated summa cum laude, strip club made a tsunami. Carlton Hines with the ball game, Grateful Edmonds with the snowflakes, Craig Pettis in the M-Town, Sal Magluta with the boat game, Falcone with the cocaine, like Freeway Ricky with the plug game, like Monster Cody in South Central, Larry Davis from close range.
What's up, guys? They up in Harlem, used to rob the banks.
Ooh, what was that? Fuck.
Who you talking about?
He just passed too.
He died. He's from Queens, though.
Oh, he's from Queens?
Is he from Queens? You know the black, dark-skinned brother. Is he from...
Tall.
What's his name? You know him, Teddy. You know him so well, Teddy.
He's part of Boy George and him.
Yeah, he down with that crew.
Yeah, he's down with Boy George and
doing stuff with Jay-Z in the back.
He was a dark. What's his name? Dark skin guy, black, real black.
All the concerts.
Is it
real black? Everybody scared of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just
one word, one name. He has
right.
one name. Go by one name. That
yeah.
Dark skin black guy,
he
slim guy.
Out like maybe a month ago when I was up in New York. They said, "Yo, TK, such and such fan." Oh no! In October, I found that.
I forgot his name.
Me too.
Everybody knows this guy.
Yep.
Black guy. He's from Queens. He's down with Supreme Team and those guys. I think.
Exactly. I think that's his name.
No, not Supreme.
No,
not Supreme.
No, not Supreme.
Black guy. I forgot Foxy Brown. I forgot one word name. He got one
word.
Yeah.
But he passed, and his son passed too. He passed first, and his son passed away a week later.
I know who you're talking about.
Wow.
Yeah, he used to put on all the concerts back in the day. What I like is how back in the day.
Chase. His name is CHAZ.
CHAZ.
Bam.
CHAZ.
There you go.
CHAZ.
CHAZ. Oh man, CHAZ is the man. Beautiful brother.
I remember we did a show at the Omni, New York.
Okay.
And we did the show for Boy George.
Okay.
All of them were there.
Everybody
had on a long
always
meet.
Like Chad and respect Chad, but I always get my distance.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Chad was that nigga.
Yeah, I kept my distance.
There was a few people like that though.
Yeah.
You know, like you love them, but you gotta love them from afar.
Yeah.
Like Black Jess, remember Black Jess and those guys?
Yep.
I like those guys, but I always from a distance. I grew up with a lot of those guys. Went to school with a lot of those guys and stuff.
Yeah, it's just interesting, man. It's just. Let me tell you, Mike.
No. Just think about that's us. Why they went there and we didn't go that direction? You know, I always go and visit Lou and Tut and all those guys in school. There, and I always say, I should be in here with them.
Okay, this one here is. Motherfuckers talk all that shit. And the first time a motherfucking subpoena come down, like they don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, all confused. Anytime your dumb ass get on
the first time a motherfucking subpoena come, you confused. You know what I mean?
Lost.
Real niggas do this and
Real niggas do that.
Yeah.
Police come knock on your door, you tell them.
The thing is this. Motherfucker, if you don't know what to do, then ask somebody. You know what I'm saying? Go ask a fucking lawyer or something, you dumb bastard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What it is number one. First, you try to hide so you don't get the subpoena.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you do. But if they happen to give it and hit you with it, then you may have to go down there. You go down there, you understand, and what they're gonna do, they're gonna take you and they're going to take you to the judge, and then you're going to take the fifth. Exactly. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right against self-incrimination. You don't have to say shit. You take the fifth. So then what they're going to do, if they just really want to press your punk ass, is they're going to take you downstairs, and they're going to take you before a magistrate judge or whatever, and they're going to say, well, we're going to grant you immunity, and you're going to have to go back up here and testify. You go back upstairs, and then you take the motherfucking contempt, you dumb bastard. You just say, I'm not saying nothing.
That's extra information.
You know what I mean? And you take the contempt charge. And either they're going to hold you for 90 days, 60 days, whatever that bullshit carries, or they're going to hold you for the life of the grand jury or whatever the fuck that is, which the grand jury only lasts 18 months at a clip. And you're out. You know what I'm saying?
And it's real easy, like it's as simple as that, man.
That's what you do when you get a subpoena. All that shit about I had to do it and they subpoenaed me. And the other thing is, understand what happens when you're subpoenaed by the government or the state. You're not a defense witness, you
Nah,
dumb
you
motherfucker.
can be
You
whatever type
are
of
a fucking
prosecution
state
witness.
or you're a prosecution witness.
Yeah.
You're there to help the prosecution. It ain't no other thing about that. You're not there, well, they could have subpoenaed me too, all that bull. The defense could have subpoenaed. What the fuck is you talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Get a book and read it, you
It don't
dumb
go like
bastards.
that. You shouldn't have been subpoenaed at all, motherfucker, if you're volunteering information.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It don't, like if you're subpoenaed by the state or the government, you're there to help them. It ain't no other two ways about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
See,
it ain't no
fucking rat
misinterpretation.
bastard.
It ain't no misinterpretation of what the fuck it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb ties. We on our way to NYC. Headshot City. Queens to be exact. The South Side to be more exact. Everybody from Queens, y'all get in the comment box. Matter of fact, the whole city, y'all get down there. Y'all know the rundown. Now, today, we are going to be covering somebody. Now, if y'all go back on the channel, before the channel was wiped, we covered certain gangsters because they had to be covered. And this was one of them. So, we had to bring the rundown. And I'm talking about none other than CHAZ Williams, a.k.a. Slim, a.k.a. Black Hand CHAZ, whatever y'all want to call him. He was a gangster that really made his name in many different decades and a lot different from the people that we covered on the channel. Now, for those that are familiar with the hip-hop community, y'all might remember CHAZ as the commander-in-chief of Black Hand Entertainment. They released Black Gangster, which was a Donald Goines book. Shout out RP to Donald Goines, one of the best writers ever that don't get their recognition. But yeah, this was a movie that was kind of redid. The soundtrack had Jay-Z on it. Jay-Z had a song called Black Gangster for big Jay-Z fans. Y'all might want to check that out. That shit was one of his hardest songs. Now, y'all might remember him from that, where he had, I want to say, Graph was signed to that label, and he also had an artist by the name of Prince. They would pop up on the Smack DVD, Cocaine City DVDs. This was right around the DVD era. But CHAZ had long before that made his name in the streets. He was born on November 5th of 1951 in Harlem, and he was the middle of 3 children. Now, it was said that at the age of 5, his father, who was a World War II vet, moved the family to Queens, and CHAZ would end up growing up in the notorious 40s projects. So everybody from Queens, if we got anybody from 40 projects, we definitely need y'all down below. Now, from 1956 to 1963, as a child, CHAZ reportedly visited relatives in the Deep South, experiencing firsthand the injustices of the Jim Crow segregation. Now, it would be in 1963 at the age of 12 where CHAZ would commit his first armed robbery at a local drugstore. Now, in 1967 at 16, CHAZ would go on to rob his first bank. And that would be how he would pretty much make a name for himself. Now, let me put this into perspective for you guys. Now, the outlaw Jesse James, or the Robin Hood of the Wild Wild West, he would go on to rob 8 banks. And technically 2 of the banks were trains. John Dillinger, who would be known as the Dapper Dan Gangster of the Great Depression, he would go on to rob 24 banks. Bonnie Parker and Clyde Burrow, the infamous Bonnie and Clyde, they would go on to rob 17 banks. Now, CHAZ Williams would go on to rob 63 banks. Now, in 1968, CHAZ was sentenced to 18 months in juvenile detention in upstate New York. He would go on to find himself in Cleveland, Ohio, where he found himself in the company of the Black Nationalists of New Libya. He would go on to travel the country hiding out and learning from Black militant groups. Now, in 1969, he would be arrested in the process of robbing a currency exchange near the Montreal airport. He was then sent to prison de Bordeaux in Canada. It was right around 1969 where CHAZ would return to New York and launch his full-time career as a bank robber, targeting only banks insured by the U.S. government. Now in 1971, CHAZ was sentenced to 5 years in the Federal Correctional Institute of Milan in Michigan. Now, it was there where he would get wind of a Bureau of Prison Study release pilot program that was set to launch 2 years later. It was in that time where CHAZ would hatch the long con plot to rob banks while he was serving time. Now in 1973, while enrolled at the University of Michigan and leaving FCI Milan on student day passes, CHAZ and his crew would rob banks over a 6-month period in Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, and Indiana. And that was made famous by the American Gangster episode in season 2, I want to say episode number 8, that featured CHAZ himself. Now in 1974, after being arrested for robbing the Michigan National Bank, CHAZ is sent to Lewisburg Correctional Center. It would be 2 years later in 1976 where CHAZ would escape from prison and go on to recruit and train a revolving crew of 20 men to become the most elite bank robbers in U.S. history. He embarks upon a multi-state bank robbery spree, hitting dozens of banks. Now in 1977, after a shootout with the FBI, CHAZ is caught and sentenced to 95 years in prison. It would be a year later in 1978 where, acting as his own attorney, CHAZ got his sentence reduced to only 25 years. Now, while serving his time in the 1980s, CHAZ would go on to earn a BA in Business Administration and also a BA in Human Service Administration. It would be in 1991 where CHAZ was released on parole after serving 15 years. He would then go on to find Black Hand Entertainment and begins promoting after-party fights for Mike Tyson. Now in 1992, CHAZ would transition to hip-hop. He was said to be the first promoter to bring Snoop Dogg to New York City, and he also worked with the likes of Jay-Z, Foxy Brown, and 50 Cent, as we all know. Now, it would be in 2016 where CHAZ would go on to sue BET, Netflix, A&E, Apple, and a few other streaming services for them portraying his life in that American Gangster episode. It was said that he doctored up the complaint himself and took it in. Now, Charles CHAZ Williams would end up passing away at his home in New York on July 13th, 2019. But with his death, he left a big legacy. Definitely one of the top gangsters in Queens. Y'all get in the comment box. He laid down. He never told. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, POP_A_LOT. We gonna be back with some more real trill spill shit. Y'all make sure y'all hit the bell right under this video. Y'all comment below where we need to go. We gonna get to every gangster in these streets. It's your boy Popalot. Y'all already know what it is. Mobb, ties.